Between times, rely on yourself in no way. Believe.
Good morning, everybody. Um, Hopefully, everyone had a good night last night. Have a good morning this morning. Um, we're going to be tackling a subject about the mindset of an atheist, and really how it is one of the most contradictory viewpoints to ever hold in one's life. Um, so we'll kind of I'm going to try to break things down based on their assumptive belief and also on their professed belief and then on their misguided belief and then finally on their pointless belief. So we'll begin with what I believe about atheists because I don't want any issues in thinking people thinking what I want to know what I believe. So what do I believe? This is what I believe. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt and they have done abominable works. There is none who does good. So there's my viewpoint about atheists. Okay? Okay, so that's one. Two, an atheist has to have um, faith like none other. Hang on one second, make sure I find the spot I need. Okay. So I came across a podcast the other day or recently, and the podcast is called um, The Atheist's Experience. Um, Two younger men, I'm assuming they're probably in their late 20s, early 30s, or mid 30s. I could be wrong there, but they seem pretty young. And the entire podcast is around the concept of atheism. Now, hear me out, okay? If a person really is an atheist, they would never be spending any time of their life trying to profess that they are atheists or trying to disprove something they believe doesn't exist. They would simply live in a manner according to their belief, if it were really something ingrained in them, if they genuinely believed all that they said, there would be no time invested in trying to disprove something that doesn't exist, nor would they try to spend time espousing their own belief system, which is based on something that they say doesn't exist. To me, that takes a whole lot of energy that you don't need to be expending. And it also tells me that maybe you don't fully believe what you're saying. Because if you look at how humans behave, right? Usually you start to repeat stuff you want to believe, or you harp on things that you aren't fully sure of, but you really do want to believe that it's true. So you repeat it to yourself. I am strong. I can do this. I can do this. And you pump yourself up, you know? Whereas if it's something that you do every day, no one really pumps themselves up to put their shoe on or tie their shoelace because it's something that you can do. It's normal to you now. You pump up a kid, you can tie your shoelace, you can do it, you can do it. And then when they have it done, there's no need to hype up shoelace tying. But for some reason, an atheist has to keep pumping himself up to the belief that there is no God. See, the opposite is then they're going to say, well, the Christians pump themselves up. No, we don't. We don't. Let's put it like this. Christians believe that there is a God and that he loves us. The surface person that calls themselves a Christian has to keep reminding themselves that God is love. A Christian knows that God is love. A person professing to be a Christian will have to remind themselves that they are saved. A Christian knows that they are saved. There is a marked difference. See, what the world has been taken as what a Christian is ain't a Christian. If you have to remind yourself that Jesus is love and God is love and all of this, if you have to remind yourself daily that you have to forget, or that some reason you get up in the morning and you're unsure, then it was not known to you. It was a hope for you. I want you to try and think about that for just a second. Either you know or you don't. And you're hoping to one day know by reminding yourself. This is part of the whole trust thing for many believers, right? We don't really trust that he is who he says he is. And it reflects the way we walk and how we view him. Those I don't really consider people like that following the way. Wherever they are on their journey, they have not been fully convinced about who God is. But the atheist should be self-sufficient because there is nothing else to believe in. Yet they spend their entire time trying to debunk something they say is impossible to exist. There is a marked difference between them and even the weakest of believers. So, I just want you to have to listen to a little snippet here, and I'm going to ask you a question, and you tell me where the problem lies. Okay, you tell me where the problem lies in his very initial statement. A caller calls in to ask them about the merits of God being real, and they ask him the following question. Okay, so just listen carefully to the response.
Well, let's skip it. Let's skip over it. Let's say that you know, all of a sudden today, J. Mike and I just decided that we believe 100% in the God that you're talking about. So, like, we'll skip over all of it and be all right. Now we're Christians. Cool. Why should we worship this God if we accept that it's real?
Just that small bit. Now, what is their biggest problem with that statement? See if you can pick it out. It's very glaring, very much in your face. You can't miss it. If you miss it, I want to know. Tell me, what is the problem with their statement? I will give the audience some time to formulate their responses, and please tell me What is the biggest problem with what they just said? Please tell me. Because I picked up on it right away. Let's see if you guys did the same. Any takers? No? No takers? Okay. I'll play it one more time.
Let's skip it. Let's skip over it. Let's say that you know, all of a sudden today, J Mike and I just decided that we believe 100% in the God that you're talking about. So like, we'll skip over all of it and be all right. Now we're Christians. Cool. Why should we worship this God if we accept that it's real?
Get it yet? Do you hear it yet? I'll play it one last time.
Okay, the believer and the
Let's say that you know, let's say that.
atheist, right? Okay, I was gonna say,
We'll skip it. Let's skip over it. Let's say that, you know, all of a sudden today, J Mike and I just decided that we believe 100% in the God that you're talking about. So like, we'll skip over all of it and be all right. Now we're Christians. Cool. Why should we worship this God if we accept that it's real?
Okay. It's not the skip over part. They said, no, they're skipping over the guy's description of what it would take to become and all this stuff. The guy was actually just stuttering a whole lot. And so he just tried to skip ahead to ask the guy this one question. Listen, what if one day the three of them that are on the podcast decide to just believe 100% in the God that you speak of, and we became Christians? Why should we worship him? If we believed 100% in this God that you said, 100%, why should we worship him? You see, he wouldn't have that question if he 100% believed in God. You see, the reason they ask the question like that is twofold. They have been told that the worship of God is separate from the knowledge. And secondly, they have been told that worship of God is so mandatory that it has to be done regardless of what you know. What they don't seem to understand is that a true knowledge of God will produce worship. It won't be something I have to force out of myself. It won't be something I'm doing just because. It will become a natural response to knowing God. Which is why they're fools. A fool will think like this. So here's my question to the atheists. Why don't you just go live like there is no God? Don't talk about him. Don't ask about him. Don't worry about him. Don't care what we're doing. You do you and live like an atheist ought. There is no God. None. God does not exist. Man created him. Live like that is true. But you can't. Because then you have no way to tell me one very important thing about living. And that one very important thing is, where do you get right and wrong from? No one, not a soul, has been able to tell me where they gather right and wrong from. Right is either right or it's not. Right doesn't go from being right to being wrong. Right is always right, wrong is always wrong. There is no crossing of the two. Society will tell you, well, it used to be wrong, but now it's right. It used to be right, but now it's wrong. Tell me how it became wrong. Or you just decided, so hold on. When someone else decides that it's not, because they have their own guiding principles, you get to override that person's rule because you think you're the arbiter. So now you're God. So there obviously is a God. It's you. So you can't actually be an atheist. You see, their viewpoint is so crazy that it takes way more faith to believe that load of tripe than it does to believe that a God exists. You're telling me that there is no God, never was, never will be. Man is the arbiter of all things. Yet man cannot, for the life of all that is good and going on today, keep his rights and wrongs straight. Because first you got to tell me this. Okay, let's take an example. Rights and wrongs. Slavery, in their mind, this is from the atheist viewpoint, was right. And slavery became wrong. This is what they'll tell you. This is how man decides it, right? Who told you that slavery was wrong? I'm waiting to hear what makes you think slavery was wrong. Because again, if you decide it for yourself, that's fine. And since there is no overall guiding factor for every human being, individually, I can decide what is right and wrong for me. So if I, in my own culture, decide that slavery is indeed 100% right, and you come over here with your nonsense telling me that it's wrong, you're going to have to tell me why. And if your source for why is just because you feel that way, that's not going to fly. I feel the other side. I feel slavery is right. And you feel slavery is wrong. So here's what we're going to do. Wherever you are, don't have slaves. And where I am, I'll have slaves. But no, now you come with this thing called human rights. Where did you get the concept of rights? You can't answer that either. You cannot answer without God the reasonings for your good or your bad behavior. You can't answer the question as to why bad and good exists. You can't answer any of those without God. And if you do, it comes from a place that you want, not where everybody. But then you'll say, well, the majority. So what happens to the people that don't agree with you? Screw them. So again, you are fine when you have the reins, but not when God has the reins. So what it really comes down to is you are God. You're God. I want to know. So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's get the definition. All right. Let's get the definition of atheist. A person who does not believe in the existence of a god or any gods, one who subscribes or advocates to atheism. So if the people that are with your husband there say they don't believe in God, sorry, but by the definition, they are atheists. If they don't believe in the existence of God, they are atheists. Mind you, if they don't believe in God, they shouldn't run from the title of atheism. It's just a demarker. That's all. Don't be afraid of being an atheist if you really don't believe there's a God. This is part of why I'm telling you this topic here. Okay. I know there is a higher power. How do you know that? I don't believe in the God of the Bible the way it's been introduced to me. I learned right from wrong through interaction with other human beings. As a child, I knew that slavery was wrong without being taught. Slavery killed people, and I don't think that murder is right. You don't think, or do you don't, or you know? That's kind of something that you have to be assertive of. Is it? Right now, if you have a job, you are technically a slave. No, you're not, because you're getting paid. If your boss beats you and hung for being late to work, that's another story. It's the horror of slavery that made it bad. No. No. Without God, nothing makes slavery bad. Without God, nothing makes slavery bad. Your feelings are inconsequential to my living without God. Just because you feel I shouldn't kill somebody is inconsequential to whether or not I should kill somebody. Because all you're giving me is your feelings about something. And if I don't feel that same way, screw you. A higher power? Okay, so you don't believe in the God of the Bible. Where exactly are you getting your information about this higher power that could tell you right and wrong? How does this higher power function? See, the problem is we want to create a confined space where we can operate in our own minds freely based on our wants. And if that means creating a secondary and a tertiary idea to God, we will do that. And we will call it a higher power, or my inner self, or enlightenment. It's always weird to me that all those things always seem to go along with what we want and how we feel. It never contradicts us. You don't find it a tad bit weird that the higher powers and the inner self never contradicts the things you want? It always validates the things you want. In essence, you're the higher power. You say there is no God, especially the kind of God that's in the Bible. So here's my question to you, a serious question to you. Moore or Johnny, what is it about the God in the that you don't want to believe in? What trait does the God in the Bible have that deters you from him? What makes him different than this higher power? You tell me. And I don't believe in the slavery being your job. Slaves didn't get paid. They got room and board and they got killed. That was it. A select few may have gotten some monetary gain occasionally. So here we go. The Bible God is a bit violent and crazy. How? I really want to know how. These are, for me, these are simple questions that should have simple answers if you believe what you're saying. If you believe what you're saying, then you should have an answer as to why you think this. Really, it's that simple. But I'm yet to see an atheist live like he believes. I am yet to see an atheist live like he believes. Instead, they spend their time trying to reiterate and debunk something that doesn't exist. That's insanity. I don't know if people realize that, but that's when you know you're losing a lot of your marbles. All the screws are coming completely undone, and you probably should check yourself into the rubber room with a straitjacket. If you're trying to debunk something that you say, doesn't exist. But you refuse to live like it doesn't exist. Just do what just do whatever you want. But you can't. Because whether you believe it or not, there's always something scratching at the back of your mind. There's always something scratching back there. That's why you keep questioning. That's why you keep asking. That's why you keep trying to debunk, because it keeps clawing at you. There is something out there that is causing you to absolutely lose your mind over it. You lose your mind over it. And no, the person never did answer me. No, I never got an answer. I'm looking right now and I don't see an answer for it. I know they can't answer it, but I figured I'd ask it anyway. Every single atheist, for all they say they believe in, as strong-minded as they are, will vehemently get mad at you when you mention God. Why is that? Why would you get so mad at something so fake? And it's not even like this thing is affecting you. By your definition, it's not even affecting you. It's just affecting me. And you're mad because I believe it? It doesn't exist. You should just be able to call me crazy and laugh. But you can't. Can you? You keep wanting me to prove God. Why? Why? Why do I need to prove God to you? He doesn't exist. Well, prove to me. No, I don't need to prove to you he exists. To you, he don't exist. You believe this, right? Then if you believe it, behave like it, live like it, ignore everything that has to do with him. Just ignore it. And live the way you want to live. Don't keep asking me about God. God don't exist. I will continue to be crazy and you can continue to be sane. I don't, I mean, maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm just insane. I'm trying to go back and find something here to see if it's the same person. Okay, so it is. Hang on 1 second. All right, you never did answer my question, SEAL Team 6. You said something about him being violent and crazy. The God of the Bible being violent and crazy. My question to you was, in what way? What proof do you have of that? And I'm still waiting on an answer for that. Is it something you know or just something you've been told? I just have that one question for you. But back to the topic. When an atheist tries to tell you there is no God, agree with him. Agree. Because the Bible has a definition for him and her. You said there's no God. I agree with what you're saying. A fool would say that. Way to go. All behind you. That's exactly what a fool would say. Let the fool be. Okay, so before I answer the second part of your question, if you've never read, how did you come by the assumption or statement that violent and angry was a good descriptor of him? How did you get to that point? Answer me that, and then I will answer your question about a good translation to read. Because I don't see us doing that with any other product. Like at all. Like, okay, let's take human interaction. You see this girl from a distance, or you see this boy from a distance, and you really like him just by look. And somebody comes up to you. Now, mind you, you do not know the person you're looking at. You don't know them. But somebody you do know comes up to you and say, hey, that person is crazy. They're mentally off. They're insane. And you say, really? I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Yeah. Joe Rogan's an absolute idiot. I just want people to understand something about Joe Rogan. If you believe anything Joe Rogan says, you need a straitjacket too. Joe Rogan is a prime example of what happens when people get famous and have no brain cells left from being kicked too hard in the skull. Joe Rogan's a dummy. One of the biggest dummies out there. A true fool, like the Bible said. Possibly the worst of them. Possibly the worst fool of all of them. Because he's an influential fool. Worst type. Do not ever listen to that nut job. Please don't. So the person said, that person's crazy, man. And you say, really? And they say, yeah, crazy. Now, you never go approach this person to find out if what that person told you was even remotely true. You just took it and you ignored that person and you never went to meet them. You find out a couple of 5 years later, after that other person you was looking at gets married, that the reason that person told you that was because they got burned by that person some time ago and formulated a viewpoint about them because the person did not take to their advances. The person that you were looking at, they got mad at you for looking at them because the person you're looking at, they despise because that person wounded them. Or at least they took it as a wounding because they were so enamored with that person. And when they said no, that crushed them. And now that person is insane and I hate that person, blah, 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 blah. However, what you should do is when they say that person's crazy, you say, really? They don't look that crazy. Oh, trust me, they're crazy. And you say, okay, all right. You might, I'm just going to talk to them real quick. I think I have a pretty good way of figuring out what they are. So I'm going to go and talk to them and see if what you say really matches up with who they are. So you go over to this person and you say, excuse me, you don't know me and I don't know you, but I really wanted to say hi. There's something about you that's intriguing. But while I was over there looking, my friend came up to me and said that person's crazy. But I had to come make sure for myself. So why would they be saying that you're crazy? And then the person says, who said I was crazy? And you mention the friend's name. And they say, okay, so they came at me and were overly aggressive. And I don't do overly aggressive. And they just were pressuring. And I said, I don't want to have this kind of, I don't want this. And they got mad at me and took off storming. And you're like, oh, okay. That makes more sense as to why they think you're crazy. But I don't know anything about you. So do you mind if I get to know you a little bit? I mean, if it's, I don't want to put any pressure. I don't want you to think you're crazy either. So, and you break the ice that way, and eventually you two start talking. See, what you did there was you didn't just take the word of somebody else who had a poor interaction with that person. You went to the person to find out for yourself about the person. Many today will hear about God and never go to God to find out about God. They'd much rather take every bit of information from everyone else who hates him because they didn't get what they wanted from him. And then will tell you he doesn't exist because I didn't get it, or I hate him because he didn't give it to me. So you should hate him too, because he'll never give you what you want. And many will listen to that and turn away, whereas you can easily do this. I hear what you're saying, but I want to take the chance to get that internalized hate for myself. I want to be able to say I hate God permanently for a reason. So I'm going to go get to know him, see if it's true. And if it's true, then I can hate him with reason. Pretty simple. I know Joe Rogan will never have me on his podcast. I'll tell you why Joe Rogan would never have someone like myself or even Corey on his podcast. He definitely don't want Corey. I'll tell you this. He don't want Corey in his podcast. Much less both of us together. We will make Joe Rogan lose every subscriber he ever had, and he will look like a complete idiot. And he does not want that. He wants people that will be able to be breakable. He wants breakable people, weak-minded people, people not fully sold on what they believe, and people that will kiss up to him because he's famous. And he will never get that. Ever. From us. And he's afraid of that. But then again, Most people who don't believe in God are afraid of that. Most people that are clinically insane would not want that. But if you don't believe in God, then live like you don't believe in God. If he doesn't exist, live like he doesn't exist. But you can't. Because you love to blame the imaginary for all the crap you do. Anything that happens to you that you don't agree with, you would love to have something imaginary to blame it on, which makes you insane. That makes you mentally deficient, bro. If you are keeping something imaginary around simply to say, well, what if he's real? Why would he let this happen? He's not letting it happen if he's not real, you idiot. There's a reason why the Bible uses the word fool, because they're definitely not smart people. An atheist is one of the dumbest human beings you will ever encounter in your lifetime. And I don't mean that in any other way than they're dumb. Like dead serious. They are some of the slowest, mentally deficient, spiritually deficient people you will ever meet, and the most angry. Because they have zero answers for the things they believe. And the things they do believe, they don't fully believe because they have to keep questioning it with the things they don't believe. That's how dumb they are. That is how stupid they are. They are so dumb that they're willing to believe that something that doesn't exist requires their energy to prove it doesn't exist. So much so that you're willing to hate the thing that doesn't exist and continue to talk about the thing that doesn't exist while inviting the people that do believe it to tell you how much it does exist so they can continue to believe it doesn't exist. What? 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 Now you dumb. You're dumb. That kind of circular thinking is the brain of a shut down human being. Really. Really. But if you don't believe in God, listen to me, atheists. I know it's hard for you to listen sometimes, but if you don't believe in God, live like it. Get up tomorrow and never speak of him again. Never. It doesn't exist. He has zero power over anything, and anyone who believes in it is insane. And you don't deal with crazy people. You don't go seek them out. You leave them be. I challenge you to do that. Atheists out there, I challenge you to stop trying to disprove something that's not real. I bet you money you can't stop. There's a reason why you can't stop. There's a reason why you can't stop. Because deep down in that one spot that needs him, it's telling you that he's real. And what you want is fighting tooth and nail to hold on to it. And it'll give it any reason it can to not give into that want and that need. That hole, that cavernous vacuous spot in you that needs to be filled and only filled by God, you are trying to hurry and put cardboard over. Man, just cover it up as much as you can, but it keeps sucking at you. And you can't shake it. And your only response is anger that it's still there because you really want to believe it doesn't exist, but it keeps popping up. It's a very difficult thing. I get it. But if you genuinely want to tell people that you believe something, at some point you're going to have to start living what you believe. The same way you ask Christians to do. An atheist will constantly ask a Christian to believe and say and live like they believe. But somehow you don't do the same. You don't live what you believe. How is that? You are being as hypocritical as you call the Christians. And I find that kind of weird. To live like there is no God means you just can kill whoever you want, rape whoever you want, pillage whenever you want, live like you want. Don't even worry about rules. There should be no rules because any rules coming out into human society is antithetical to you. Do what you want. There is no right and wrong. Those are arbitrary. Those are man-made concepts and they can be put aside anytime. What is truth? Truth is whatever I deem it. Live like there's no God. You can't tell me where morals come from. You can't tell me where right and wrong comes from without God, but you want to live like that. Live like there's no God. I don't think that'll happen for you, though. In any case, I want to address this one thing here real quick. I have been married 31 years and my husband was an atheist. A month ago, he said he cannot believe that he could be an atheist because if he was looking around him now, there is no doubt that God does exist. We had 6 children and all 6 died between 7 and 9 months of pregnancy. And only now, for the first time in 31 years, does he not blame God. The concept of blaming God is indeed the atheist's way of trying to talk to him. It's the atheist's way of trying to talk to him. God knows this too. He knows that even in their anger, there's that one spot that needs him. As foolish as they are, he knows that they need it. They not want it, but they need it. And that need sometimes spits out of them in anger by saying, I blame him. If he doesn't exist, you can't blame something that's not real. But because you know he is real, that's why you can say you blame him. Walking contradiction. The sooner you can have a one-on-one conversation with yourself first and get off of this pathway of I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. And just sit down for a second. Put all your so called thoughts to the side and approach him and say, all right, this is how I see you. This is what I've been told. This is what I partially believe. But there's something that keeps pissing me off about you, and I need to know why. Why is it that I want to believe you don't exist, but for some stupid reason, I cannot shake that you may exist? Why is that? Sit down, talk to nothing if you have to, but remember, in your mind, he doesn't exist. He, it, whatever, doesn't exist. Sit for a moment and just say, God, listen, I don't believe you exist, but I get mad at you at every turn. Why? Leave it there. Ask him why. He didn't answer my first question. I just want to make sure I make that clear. So I'm going to answer your second question. Um, as far as Navy SEAL goes, a SEAL Team 6, on Amazon, there is a translation called The Scriptures. Okay? The Scriptures. That's one that I trust. Really good. Doesn't try to adjust names, it just adjusts mundane transitionary languages. Okay? Think about this. People go years without believing, then get old and fear death, then decide to believe out of fear. But God did not give these people the spirit of fear. Is the devil driving them towards God? They're not driving towards God. They're running from death. They're running from the inevitability of what they've done in their life and hoping that this last measure of please don't send me to hell will work. Please don't send me to hell is not salvation. I don't want to go to hell is not being saved. The devil isn't going to chase anybody towards God. But the knowledge that you're going to die and be without him for eternity will. But fear of dying is not going to save you. It may already be too late. You never took the knowledge of his son. You never accepted your faults and placed before him. Death is not going to be enough. Fear is never going to be enough. Love is. Love of the Father, love of the Son, and accepting the sacrifice because you love him, not because you're afraid of dying. That's not going to save you. It will not save you. Now, I don't know what they're going to say to God when they're in that space of dying. I don't know who spoke to them before. I don't know what seed was planted, and I don't know what soil they were. But if you're giving me scenarios of them being afraid to die, and that's why they're asking God to save them, it's not going to work. He never set it up like that. There's only one way in. That's through Jesus. Only one way. Not fear of dying. Hopefully one day you'll answer my question, Johnny. Maybe. Go back and listen and see if you can answer my question later in the chat. That'd be great. tomorrow we have another, I believe, needed and good topic. Um, and this is for the ones that do believe and are fully sold out and are not turning back and are done with everything that has to do with deterrences. The question is, what's you going to do when the name of Jesus is forbidden by law? What are you going to do? That's tomorrow. The name of Jesus forbidden. Thursday, joy versus happiness. And I finally have my Friday set up, and we will be having a special guest on Friday. He has agreed to come on. And on Friday, we are talking about communing with Father God. And you've seen this person before on my channel, but it's been a minute since when we've talked a few more times. We've developed a little bit of a brotherly accountability kind of thing. He prays for me, I pray for him kind of thing. And so I get busy and he gets busy, and we kind of lose contact once in a while, but we still come back, after a bit and chat. So, but he was on one of the journeys with me, and he's agreed to come back on to discuss this because he has a channel, and I'll tell you what that is on Friday. But when you hear him talk about this particular topic, you'll understand why I wanted him on. It's a completely different vibe. So he'll be on Friday. Monica, I'm gonna do you a solid. I'm going to, just before I go live, I'm going to send you a email. Okay, I'll send you an email, and if not, then too, I'll send you an inbox on Messenger so you get the notification. Okay, I'm gonna do you a solid. How about that? Hey, old people gotta look out for each other. Know what I'm saying? So, you guys make sure you go over and check out Too Strong. We put up a video about Leonardo DiCaprio. You're gonna wanna. Okay, so remember what we discussed yesterday? Right? The topic yesterday was what? Can anybody tell me what the topic was yesterday? Anyone? Y'all remember? Y'all remember what the topic was yesterday? What was the title of yesterday's conversation? I'm gonna give you guys some time, and I'll close with this. Anyone remember the title of the show yesterday? All right, Jesus' name, right? So I have a question for you, Rosemary Martinez. Which one is true? Which name is the right name I should use? What you just spelled there, or Yeshua, or Yeshua? Which one of those three is right? Just answer me that. Which one of those three is the right name? Yahushua, Yeshua, or Yeshua? Which one? Or Yeshua? Which one is the right one? Since we're not using Jesus, which one of the other four names that he has is the rightest one that I should use? Rosemary. And if you're going to tell me one of them, please tell me how you came by that. Because the others are also in the same translation of the same language. So I want to know why you're picking one over the other when they're all from the same language. And who are you to tell me that what you picked is the rightest of the right? It's a simple question, really. I don't think I'll get an answer, but one can hope. one one can hope. Thank you. Thank you. That's me too. I'm not saying nothing to use Jesus, but let us be real. And I'm not telling you. You just did. You literally just told me. That's exactly what you did, was told me. I, I don't know how you're going to backtrack when it was like it's on the screen. You wrote it. I don't know. You wrote it. I'm not making stuff up on you. This is what you said. You want me to find it again? All right, let's find you again. His name is Yeshua. That's a definitive statement. But, sorry, Yehoshua. But the Europeans changed a lot from his name to his image. So you're saying you didn't say it? None of the statements you made was a question, not even in the way it was written. Even if you put a question mark after it, Rosemary, it wasn't a question. None of the things you said was a question. Okay? But if you want to keep with the question idea, keep with it. I'm just saying that you're not answering me as to why I should call him Yeshua or Yehoshua. You're not telling me why. That'd be great, but I don't think you can answer me that question. In any case, I do appreciate you guys' time. This week will be a really good one, I think. The rest of the week will be really good. We'll be talking about when his name gets canceled in the public forum, what you're going to do tomorrow. And then we will be talking about joy versus happiness. And then we'll have our guests on Friday about the communing with God. Really do hope that many of you that have atheist friends don't indulge in the conversation, but ask them to live like they say they believe. If you don't believe the way I believe, that's fine. Then just continue to live the way you want to live. It's not a matter of debate. It's not a discussion. You don't believe in God, act like it. Don't keep asking me to prove something that doesn't exist. If it doesn't exist, I'm crazy and I'm okay being crazy. Don't tell me to chill. I'm just trying to tell you that you trying to define something for me without proper reasoning other than you feel is asinine. So you already call him Jesus, but you say his name is Yeshua in definite terms. I'm just saying keep it consistent, but don't tell me to chill. My program. It's also my mouth. I don't need to chill for nobody. Where do y'all get this idea from that because you say chill, I'm supposed to just, I haven't even come for your throat yet. I have yet to actually go in on anything that has to do with you or your personage or what you said. I don't know what I'm supposed to chill from, but wintertime's over. Spring is almost done and summer's almost here. So I ain't got to chill for nothing. I'm going to be more hot than ever. More hot than ever. Please, man, come on, people. In any case, scrolling at the bottom, your options. To sow where you might want to sow or not. Up to you. Not asking you to, not telling you to. If you want to sow, sow. If If you don't want to sow, don't sow. If you're not told to sow, don't sow. If you're told to sow, make that equivocation with your God and be at peace with it. That's all I'm saying. So there are your two options for that. If you want to send anything to me directly that's not on the email side, here is my P.O. box. You can send anything you want there, big packages. There is actually another line of address that you need to put in for packages itself, and that's on my my YouTube's about section. Okay, you can find it there. And then finally, if you do want to email me, here is the email: straighttalkmb@outlook. Okay, those are your two. Oh, yeah, listen, I'm not going after anybody. I have not gone after you. I'm just asking a simple question about the Yeshua and Yahushua. It was a simple question, Rosemary. I wasn't trying to slap you across the fence. If you've seen me before, you know what slapping across the fence looks like, right? I'm sure you know, if I ever were to not be chill, you would know the difference between me chill and me losing it on people. And I have not gone after you. I did not. It was not the plan. I just had a simple question. That's all. I hope you would understand that much. I really hope you understand that me going after somebody looks a certain definite way. And I was not doing that with you. So, in any case, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you guys. Mean it. Thank you for all that you do in the background, prayers, all of it. This is one grand adventure for me, and it's a faith affirming journey for me too. So, hopefully, it is for you. Really. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Like I said, make sure you go check out Too Strong. We have dropped videos, and we'll be doing it like that for now. They're a lot cleaner. They look really good. The content's very succinct, okay? So it may not be the live interaction that you want, but it will help us beat the algorithm change that YouTube put on us. So if you want to support Too Strong still, be sure to really, really go to the page itself and share the mess out of the shorter videos. 10 minutes, 9 minutes long now, sometimes 15, but they're going to be very succinct and to the point, okay? If you want to see Too Strong grow, make sure you share those videos. Same thing with this one. If you want to see this grow, share. Okay? Really appreciate everything you do. Love you guys, and we'll catch you guys on tomorrow. Wisdom calls to you from the streets. So please, please, please find wisdom. Peace.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die, rely on yourself.